Okay, so I have been working with, or playing with, I guess, the new Mac Mini M2 Pro. And I have to say this machine is really good, really good. So today what we're going to do is, I thought I'd make a video for those of you that, maybe you bought an M1, maybe a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro or Mac Mini 1 or 2 years ago. And you're like, so is the M2 Pro either in the MacBook or in the Mac Mini a worthy upgrade? Spoiler alert, I think maybe. Okay, so first and foremost, we did a couple things. We did a couple benchmarks because it just gives us a nice number on paper as a kind of a benchmark, I guess. And then we did a couple tests, real world tests. I mean, these are real world tests that I use pretty much daily. So these are really video related tests so that we can really see, I find video processing is really where we get to hammer the CPU and GPU. So first off, we ran Cinebench on both of these machines. Now, of course, the higher the score, the higher the number, the better. And the M1 Macbook Pro, and this is running the 16 gigs of RAM, a single core came in at 1497. Whereas the single core on the M2 Mac Mini, 1645. So a little bit of a difference, not huge, right? But a little bit of a difference. It is to be expected, single core. But it's really when, and you'll see this on all the tests, it's really when we start getting into programs and processes that really utilize multi-core, which again is what we're going for. Multi-core, we went from 7614, which when it came out, 2 years ago, was fantastic. Mac Mini M2, 11710. So that's a huge increase, and we can see that small increase in the single core. Now that we are going from like an 8-core M1 to a 10-core M2 Pro, we get the additional 2 cores, plus, of course, they're faster. So Cinebench was definitely a good place to start, just so we could see what kind of information or just kind of numbers we're going to get. Again, higher the better. Geekbench, again, another pretty standard benchmark. And this one ran a couple different things. So we can see here, CPU, again, we have a single and a multi-core, 1744 to 1950. So again, that's small little increase, not huge, but it is to be expected from single. At least we are getting a bit of an increase. But going from 7721 multi-core on the M1 to 12,177 on the M2 Pro. Again, nice big jump. Now we're seeing over 2 times performance increases, over 2 times when we go into the compute, so OpenCL and Metal. So these are going to be a lot more graphic comparisons. And this is where, the M2 Pro is just shining over the M1. So we go from OpenCL, which on the M1, 19,372, and again, the higher the number, the better, to 40,829. So again, more than twice. And using Metal, 21,623 on the M1 to 47,089. So that's a huge upgrade for sure. Big boost there. Now for me, I use a bunch of different cameras, and I use a bunch of different cameras a lot. So I use Canon cameras, etc. I'm shooting with right here. I use Sony cameras. They're usually little smaller cameras, but I use them a lot for vlogging because they're small. Actually, the camera right up here, which you guys can't see, it's out of shot, also a Sony camera. And of course, I use Insta360 cameras a lot, which are 5.7K, has to go through a whole bunch of processing. So because I use Insta360 cameras so much, I wanted to see what kind of time. So I ended up taking 30 minutes of Insta360 footage, so 5.7K, and then I ran it through Insta360 Studio 2023. And on the M1 MacBook Pro, and you can kind of see here some of the settings. So basically all I'm doing is I'm locking the camera angle. I'm exporting an H.264. I'm running at full bit rate, so as much high a bit rate as I can get. And I am running noise reduction. So just some stuff that add to the heavy lifting. Now on the M1 MacBook Pro, that 30 minutes worth of footage took 1 hour and 41 minutes and 3 seconds, if the 3 seconds matters. 141. Now the other thing to realize with the M1 MacBook, this process here, as well as Sony's Catalyst Browse, which we use for the Sony footage, those two processes on the M1, both of them, because they run for such a long time, the CPU really boosts right up. The fans turn on. It's one of the very few times, it's one of the only two pieces of software that I run that the fans will almost guaranteed kick in, because it's just such a long process, like we saw here, almost 2 hours to export that, 141. Now going to the Mac Mini M2 Pro, that same exact 30 minutes with the exact same settings for export, 1 minute and 5 minutes and 22 seconds. So we gained about 36 minutes, 35, 36 minutes. So if you are someone that uses a lot of Insta360 footage, you're going to see huge increases or decreases, I guess, in time, which is awesome. So you'll have way more time throughout your day to actually put your videos together and just move on and let your computer do something else. Okay, so big win there for Insta360. I use Sony cameras, so Sony's Catalyst Browse comes in handy a lot because I do use that for stabilizing. Same kind of thing here. We actually put in exactly 5 minutes of footage. It was on both. Now, the other thing to be aware of, I'm doing all this testing off the computer's internal drives. So the Insta360, I wasn't importing it and exporting from the SD card. I actually took all the footage from the SD card and put it on the internal drive, and then I run it, because then we're not limited by the SD card. We're not limited by the SD card reader. We're not limited. There's a lot of things that we want to take out of the equation. So I would copy all the footage to the computer and let the computer do all the work. So M1 MacBook Pro doing a 90% stabilization on a 5-minute clip from a Sony ZV-1. So it's just 8-bit, but 5 minutes took 33 minutes and 7 seconds. 33 minutes and 7 seconds. So fair bit of time, over half an hour to get 5 minutes stabilized. The Mac Mini M2, we were down to 22 minutes and 40. So we gained about 10 minutes. So we are, about 2/3 the time. So again, that's just with 5 minutes. So if you're looking at someone that, I have days where I shoot a ton of stuff on one of those cameras. So let's say I had a half an hour. So you're timesing that 10 minutes by 5. So you gain yourself almost an hour. So again, a nice increase for sure. That's all right. This is where this one next test is it's good, but it's not as good as I was hoping. And that is the internal speed of the drive inside these machines. So 2 years ago when the MacBook Pro came out, we were looking at internal hard drives that we thought were really fast, and they still are really fast. I have some laptops that have come out in the last few months that don't have drives as fast as this. So the M1 MacBook Pro, for read, we're getting about 2832 megabytes per second. Decent. Write, 2134 megabytes per second. So that's pretty good, considering it's a 2-year-old machine. Now, the Mac Mini M2 Pro is just a little bit faster. And I am in the process of doing a speed test upstairs right now on my Mac Studio against this. And you'll see that the Mac Studio's drive just dominates this in speed. And I think that's one of the big reasons that it is faster in certain areas is because of the drive. So Mac Mini M2 Pro is reading at 2989 megabytes per second, and write is 3200 megabytes per second. So is it faster than the MacBook Pro? Yeah. Is it as fast as I was hoping this drive would be? No. If you upgrade the drive in the Mac Mini, do you get a faster drive? I believe so. I don't have one, can't test it, but I believe so. But it's still fast. During that speed test, it doesn't matter on this machine all the way up to my Mac Studio. It says you should have no problems up to like 8K and some of it even 12K. I'm running 4K, so it's all fast enough. You just may realize on some export timing that faster is going to be better. All right, next, Final Cut Pro. And so this is the program that we all expect, you know, that the newest pieces of hardware are going to dominate. And that's again what we're going to see here. So first off, we did some importing. Now during the importing phase, we imported about 8 pieces of footage, all taken from the iPhone. Just standard H.264, 8-bit footage, nothing fancy. Some of it was long, some of it was short, you know, some 15 seconds, some like 5 minutes, etc., etc. So we import it, but during the import, we told it to do balance color, and we told it to optimize the footage. So basically when I import footage, I get it to ProRes. So M1 MacBook Pro, to import that footage, 458 iPhone footage. Okay. Mac Mini, 233. So again, we're cutting that time in half, which is great. Even inputting or importing. And I believe that's split up a little bit based on hard drive and of course that faster processor. Now I also took in that Insta360 footage. So after it had been stabilized, we've got, you know, a 10-minute clip, 5.7K that we're going to actually run through and ProRes it, etc., etc. 12 minutes, 11 seconds on the M1, 12 minutes. And on the Mac Mini M2 Pro, 3 minutes, 33 seconds. So yeah, so if you're using anything above 4K, I would say, because these are 5.7K, if you're using 6K footage or 8K footage or anything like that, you're really going to see that increase in time during that import, especially if you are someone that transcodes their footage into ProRes, which I do, or runs any of the things like color grading and audio, you know, where it goes through and checks your audio and all that kind of stuff. The more you check there, the faster that M2 Pro is going to be. And that means more time for you to actually sit and edit and do your job. Then we took the Final Cut Pro and we actually took the clips from the iPhone. We took the clip of the Sony camera and we took a clip from the Insta360 camera. In total, we were looking at 22 minutes and we put it in a 4K timeline. And MacBook Pro took 22 minutes and 48 seconds to export. So it was pretty close to 1-to-1. You're right. Mac Mini M2 Pro, 19 minutes, 9 minutes. Faster? Yes. As fast as I thought it was going to be? No, but faster. And this is definitely somewhere where I think the hard drive speed becomes a bit of the limiter. Okay, so if I was buying a Mac Mini M2 Pro today, I would buy the base unit and I would get the terabyte hard drive in it. Now, if I had extra money, I'd probably end up putting 32 gigs of RAM in it. At that point in time, you're getting close to M1 Max Studio, right? You're getting close to that. And we're actually, like I said, currently doing some testing right now with the M1 Max Studio up against the Mini, and that video should come out tomorrow. But I think for the $800 that you are saving from the Studio, at least $800, that's base to base here in Canada, it's a killer machine, right? And if you have an M1 anything, an M1 Mac Mini, an M1 MacBook Air, an M1 MacBook Pro, and you're kind of like, I wonder, and you have the money, I wonder, should I get it? Is it worth it? It's worth it. It's worth it. It's a handy, hefty, it's a good upgrade. Now for me, I'm probably going to give it back because, or not give it back, take it back, return it, because I have the Mac Studio. And that's primarily what I do my work on. The MacBook for me will be fine for another year. So when the M3 comes out, I'll probably jump on that. All right, guys, if you have any questions, let me know. Again, we're going to be putting the Mac Mini M2 Pro up against my Mac Studio in a video tomorrow. All right, my friends, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that little notification bell, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.